that group has stood out among Chad? We've seen that Demetrius has made some plays. What stood out among that group to you from from a specific player standpoint?
Yeah, Chad's been highly productive, making a lot of plays, a lot of disruptive plays in the backfield. Trent Harris is doing what Trent Harris does. He always seems to fill up the stat sheet with a lot of positive things for the defense. Heady guy is always going to be where he's supposed to be. Then you've got you have Joe Jackson, D-Jack. Joe, flashes with his potential, but there's so much more to it. You still, the way that the game is today, you have to earn the right to rush the passer, and you do that by being where you're supposed to be to stop the run on first and second down. And the way that the game has changed, defensive end is almost, a lot of times it turns into a linebacker position because they start reading those guys with the quarterback run game, and you've got to be aware of what type of blocks are coming, and sometimes that just takes at bats for Joe, and Jonathan Garvin would be the same way. That's where, again, D-Jack and his experience and his size, helps in that regard. So, but from a coaching perspective, anytime in my history when you think you've got a lot of depth somewhere, you never know once you get to the season, because we felt that way this time last year, and all of a sudden we're Virginia Tech and we're scrambling to find a defense. We have Anthony Moat line of defensive ends. So again, we're in a situation where we're trying to gather as many guys that can help us win at every position, so that we can overcome the natural adversity that occurs during the season.
With Dio running with the ones, what's he showing you, and how's he coming along?
Dio is he's a big man. He's sturdy. He can set a hard edge. Hard guy to block. Hard guy for pulling offensive linemen to deal with at times. Knows his assignments. Understands his jobs. Has a good feel for those type of things. I still think he's still getting more confident in his ability to move and run. Now the next step to really be the guy at will linebacker is you got to have that. You have that ability to make a play, the flair for the dramatic, and that's where he's still learning to just really. I guess sometimes the term is to trust yourself and let yourself go. And you've heard me say that before about Pickney. Pickney has an amazing innate ability to just believe in what he sees, trust himself, not overcomplicate the game, and let it go. And so, again, we feel like we at least now have the ability to be able to roll a couple guys in that spot, and then, and when we get back in August, potentially have some more depth there as well.
Manny, some of the guys were telling us it was such a huge focus this spring on tackling. Do you feel that you guys made the progress there that you wanted to see, or where did you see the most progress?
It's interesting because I think that was our huge priority last spring and last fall. I mean, tackling is what we do first. I would argue that we actually probably tackled worse in scrimmage 2 than we did in scrimmage 1. But going back on film and looking at some of the plays, sometimes you got to tip your hat. Mark Walton's a hard guy to tackle. Travis Homer, a couple times we didn't tackle him, and you watch the film and the guy's 24 inches off the ground. Great low center of gravity, not a whole lot to hit. But there were some things that just fundamentally that we don't do, plays that we don't put on tape, where guys start zigzagging on our defense, things that we just don't tolerate. So the MO has never changed. Our best tacklers will play, and especially in the secondary where we have the least amount of experience. So that has always been job description number 1.
I know a lot of starting battles will obviously extend into August. That said, Manny, has Sheldrick done enough where you will emerge from this spring thinking, okay, he's likely going to be the guy opposite Jaquan, or are Robert and Amari right there with Sheldrick and anyone else I might have omitted? Right
now, I feel like he's one of our 11 best football players. I think he plays, even on Saturday, our practice last Tuesday, last time we had shoulder pads on. He is enjoying the physical side of the football game. He's enjoying. I think he's got the most. We call him a bite. Anytime you make a man go backwards against his will, that's a bite. I think he might leave the safety room in bites. So he's. You would say, well, can you handle the physical transition from playing on the edge of the field to in the middle of the park, and he seems to enjoy that the most. So I'm happy for what he's done. But as you mentioned, we won't. Like, we don't play this weekend, and we don't play till September, and we'll figure it out between now and then. He starts.
Do you know who the best slot corner is on your roster, even including the 3 corners that you're going to get? I know one of whom you can't speak of yet. The other 2, including Trajan.
You mean as like a nickel type position?
Who would be your best nickel corner on the roster? Do you have any sense of that yet?
We don't have any idea. We do very little, multiple defensive back deal in spring football. We want everyone to get really good at their home base position, and then when we come back in the fall, we'll figure it out. And then you know, if we're going to put a nickel back in the game, we got to take a linebacker off the field, and we got to make sure that our fifth defensive back warrants taking our third best linebacker off the field, and we won't know that again until if that guy is a better option at that position until we get to the fall.
Last one.
And do you assume Gerald Willis is going to be back and going to be able to help you this season? We haven't seen him.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're always going to, there's many guys in spring that are in the Tour de France that are on the side riding bikes, and that's just normal, and you know, injuries are part of the game. We have a great medical staff that gets these guys back, and in August, you know, at every position, we'll have guys coming back that we think can help the football team.
Still a big part of your plans, Gerald, even though obviously we couldn't see him this spring.
Whoever shows up and acts like they're, you know, mad at the offense for trying to run the football on us, we'll play. Okay.
Thanks, Coach.